Stone Animals, out of the book Magic for the Beginners of Carrie Rink. Stone Animals. Henry asked a question. He was joking. As a matter of fact, the real estate agent snapped. It is. It was not a question she had expected to be asked. She gave Henry a goofy, appeasing smile and yanked at the hem of the skirt of her pink linen suit, which seemed as if it might at any moment go rolling up her knees like a window shade. She was younger than Henry and sold houses that she could not afford to buy. It's reflected in the asking price. Of course, she said. Like you said. Henry stared at her. She blushed. I have never seen anything, she said. But there are stories. Not stories that I know. I just know there are stories. If you believe that sort of thing, I don't, Henry said. When he looked over to see if Catherine had heard, she had her head up the tiled fireplace, as if she were trying it on, to see whether it fit. Catherine was 6 months pregnant. Nothing fit her except for Henry's baseball cap, his sweatpants, his t-shirts, but she liked the fireplace. Carlton was running up and down the staircase, slapping his heels down hard, keeping his head down and his hands folded around the banister. Carlton was serious about how he played. Tilly sat on the landing, reading a book, legs poking out through the railings. Whenever Carlton went past, he thumped her on the head, but Tilly never said a word. Carlton would be sorry later and never even know why. Catherine took her head out of the fireplace. Guys, she said, Carlton, Tilly, slow down a minute and tell me what you think. Think King Spanky will be okay out here. King Spanky is a cat, Mom. Tilly said, maybe we should get a dog, to help protect us. She could tell by looking at her mother that they were going to move. She did not know how she felt about this, except she had plans for the yard. A yard like that needed a dog. I don't like big dogs, said Carlton, 6 years old and small for his age. I don't like this staircase. It's too big. Carlton, Henry said, come here, I need her. Carlton came down the stairs. He lay down on his stomach on the floor and rolled noisily, sloppily, slowly over to here. Henry stood with the real estate agent. He curled like a dead snake around Henry's ankles. I don't like those dogs outside, he said. I know it looks like we were out in the middle of nothing, but if you go down through the backyard, cut through that stand of trees, there is this little path. It takes you straight down to the train station. 10-minute bike ride, the agent said. Nobody ever remembered her name, which was why she had to wear too tight skirts. She was, as it happened, writing a romance novel, and she spent a lot of time making up pseudonyms just in case she ever finished it. Ophelia Pink, Matilda Hightower, Lala Trigger, or maybe she had write gothics, ghost stories, but not about people like these. Another 10 minutes on that path and you are in town. What dogs? Carlton, Henry said. I think they are lions, Carlton, said Catherine. You mean the stone ones beside the door? Just like the lions at the library. You love those lions, Carlton. Patience and fortitude. I have always thought they were rabbits, the real estate agent said. Because of the ears. They have big ears. She flopped her hands and then tugged at her skirt, which would not stay down. I think they are pretty valuable. The guy who built the house had a gallery in New York. He knew a lot of sculptors. Henry was struck by that. He did not think he knew a single sculptor. I don't like the rabbits, Carlton said. I don't like the staircase. I don't like this room. It's too big. I don't like her. Carlton Henry said. He smiled at the real estate agent. I don't like the house, Carlton said, clinging to Henry's ankles. I don't like houses. I don't want to live in a house. Then we will build you a teepee out on the lawn, Catherine said. She sat on the stair beside Tilly, who shifted her weight, almost imperceptibly, toward Catherine. Catherine sat as still as possible. Tilly was in fourth grade and difficult in a way that girls were not supposed to be. Mostly she refused to be cuddled or babied. But she sat there, leaning on Catherine's arm, emanating sandy fragrances, peacefulness, placidness, goodness. I want this house, Catherine said, moving her lips like a silent movie heroine to Henry, so that neither Carlton nor the agent who had bent over to inspect a piece of dust on the floor could see. You can live in your teepee, and we will invite you to come over for lunch. You like lunch, don't you? Peanut butter sandwiches. I don't, Carlton said, and sobbed once. But they bought the house anyway. The real estate agent got her commission. Tilly rubbed the backseat, stone ears of the rabbits on the way out, pretending that they already belonged to her. They were as tall as she was. But that would not always be true. Carlton had a peanut butter sandwich. The rabbit sat on either side of front door, two stone animals, sitting on cracked mossy haunches. They were shapeless, lumpus, patient in a way that seemed not worn out down, but perhaps never really finished in the first place. There was something about them that reminded Henry of Stonehenge. Catherine thought of topiary safes, the Belvedere rabbit, soldiers who stand guard in front of palaces and never even twitches their noses. Maybe they could be donated to a museum or broken up with jackhammers. They did not suit the house at all. So what's the house like? Said Henry's boss. She was carefully stretching rubber bands around her rubber band ball. By now, rubber band ball was so big. She had to get special extra large rubber bands from the art department. She claimed it helped her think. She had tried knitting for a while, but it turned out that knitting was too utilitarian, too feminine. Making an enormous ball out of rubber band struck the right note. It was something a man might do. It took up half of her desk, under the fluorescent office lights. It had a peeled red liveliness. You almost expected it to shoot forward and out the door. The larger it got, the more it looked like some kind of eyeless, hairless, legless animal. Maybe a dog, a carton-sized dog, Henry thought, although not a carton-sized rubber band ball. Catherine joked sometimes about using the carton as a measure of unit. Big, Henry said, haunted. Really, his boss said. So was this rubber band. She aimed a rubber band at Henry and shot him in the elbow. This was meant to suggest that she and Henry were good friends and just goofing around the way good friends did. But what it really meant was that she was angry at him. Don't leave me, she said. I'm only 2 hours away. Henry put up his hand to ward off rubber bands. Quit it. We talk on the phone, we use email, I come back to town when you need me in the office. You are sure this is a good idea? His boss said. She fixed her reptilian, watery gaze on him. She had problematical tear ducts, though she could have had a minor surgical procedure to fix this. She had chosen not to. It was a tactical advantage, the way it spooked people. It did not really matter that Henry remained immune to rubber bands and crocodile tears. She had backup strategies. She thought about which would be most effective while Henry pitched his stupid idea all over again. Henry had the mover's phone number in his pocket like a talisman. He wanted to take it out waved it at the crocodile, saying, "Look at this." Instead, he said, "For 9 years we have lived in an apartment next door to a building that smells like urine. Like someone built an entire building out of bricks made of compressed wet pee. Someone spit on Catherine in the street last week. This old Russian lady in a fur coat. A kid rang our doorbell other day and tried to sell us gas masks. Door-to-door gas mask salesman. Catherine bought one. When she told me about it, she burst into tears. She said she could not figure out if she was feeling guilty because she had bought a gas mask, or if it was because she had not bought enough for everyone. Good Chinese food, his boss said. Good movies, good bookstores, good dry cleaners, good conversation. Tree houses, Henry said. I had a tree house when I was a kid. You were never a kid, his boss said. 3 bathroom, crown moldings. We can't even see our nearest neighbor's house. I get up in the morning, have coffee, put Carlton and Tilly on the bus and go to work in my pajamas. What about Catherine? The crocodile put her head down on her rubber band ball. Possibly this was a gesture of defeat. There was that thing. Catherine's whole department is leaving, like rats deserting a sinking ship. Anyway, Catherine needs a change. And so do I, Henry said. We have got another kid on the way. We are going to garden. Catherine will teach each soul. Find a book group, write her book, teach the kids how to play whiz. You have got to start them early. He picked a rubber band off the floor and offered it to his boss. You should come out and visit some weekend. I never go upset. The crocodile said. She held on to her rubber band ball. Too many ghosts. Are you going to miss this, living here? Catherine said she could not stand the way her stomach poked out. She could not see past it. She held up her left foot to make sure it was still there and pulled the seat off Henry. I love the house, Henry said. Me too, Catherine said. She was biting her fingernails. Henry could hear her teeth going kick, kick. Now she had both feet up in the air. She wiggled them around. Hello, feet. What are you doing? She put them down again on the street outside. Cars came and went, pushing smells of light along the sea, slow and fast at the same time. The baby was wiggling around inside her, kicking out with both feet like it was swimming across the English Channel, the Pacific, kicking all the way to China. Did you watch that story about the former owners moving to France? I don't believe in France, Henry said. Je ne crois pas en France. Neither do I, Catherine said. Henry, what? Do you love the house? I love the house. I love it more than you, Catherine said. Although Henry hated it when she said things like that. What do you love best? That room in the front, Henry said. With the windows, our bedroom, those weird rabbit statues. Me too, Catherine said. Although she did not. I love those rabbits. Then she said, do you ever worry about Carlton and Tilly? What do you mean? Henry said. He looked at the alarm clock. It was 4 a.m. Why are we awake right now? Sometimes I worry that I love one of them better, Catherine said. Like I might love Tilly better. Because she used to wet the bed. Because he is always so hungry, or Carlton. Because he was so sick when he was little. I love them both the same, Henry said. He did not even know he was lying. Catherine knew, though. She knew he was lying and she knew he did not even know it. Most of the time she thought that it was okay as long as he thought he loved them both the same and acted as if he did. That was good enough. Well, do you ever worry that you love them more than me? She said. Or that I love them more than I love you? Do you? Henry said. Of course. Catherine said, I have to. It's my job. She found the gas mask in a box of wine glasses and also 6 recent issues of The New Yorker, which she still might get a chance to read someday. She put the gas mask under the sink and the New Yorkers in the sink. Why not? It was her sink. She could put anything she wanted into it. She took the magazines out again and put them into the refrigerator. Henry came into the kitchen, holding silver candlesticks and a stuffed armadillo, which someone had made into a purse. It had a soldier's strap. Made out of its own skin, you opened its mouth and put things inside it, lipstick and subway tokens. It put pink gimlet eyes and smelled strongly of vinegar. It belonged to Tilly. Although how it had come into her possession was unclear. Tilly claimed she had borne it at school in a contest involving donuts. Catherine thought it more likely Tilly had either stolen it or slightly preferable, found it in someone's dress. Now Tilly kept her most valuable belongings inside the purse to keep them safe from Carlton, who was covetous of the precious things, because they were small and because they belonged to Tilly, but afraid of the armadillo. I have already told her she can't take it to school for at least the first 2 weeks. Then we will see. She took the purse from Henry and put it with the gas mask under the sink. What are they doing? Henry said, framed in the kitchen window. Carlton and Tilly hunched over the lawn. They had a pair of scissors and notebook and a stapler. They are collecting grass. Catherine took dishes out of box, but put the bubble wrap aside for Tilly to stump and stored the dishes in a cabinet. The baby kicked like it knew all about bubble wrap. War, fireplace, she said. We don't have a dancing license in there. Henry put out his hand, wrapped on Catherine's stomach. Knock, knock. It was Tilly's joke. Catherine would say, who is there? And Tilly would say, candlesticks here. Fat man's hair, box, hammer, milkshake, Clariton, mouse trap, fiddlestick. Tilly had a whole list of names for the baby. The real estate agent would have approved. Where's King Spanky? Henry said. Under our bed, Catherine said. He's up in the box frame. Have we unpacked the alarm clock? Henry said. Poor King Spanky, Catherine said. Nobody to love except an alarm clock. Come upstairs and let's see if we can shake him out of the bed. I have got a present for you. The present was in a U-Haul box, exactly like all the other boxes in the bedroom, except that Catherine had written Henry's present on it instead of large front bedroom. Inside the box was styrofoam, peanuts, and then a smaller box from Takashimaya. The Takashimaya box was fastened with a silver ribbon. The tissue paper inside was dull gold, and inside the tissue paper was a green silk robe with orange sleeves and heraldic animals in orange and gold thread. Lion, Henry said. Rabbits, Catherine said. I did not get you anything, Henry said. Catherine smiled nobly. She liked giving present better than getting present. She had never told Henry because it seemed to her that it must be selfish. In some ways she had never bothered to figure out. Catherine was grateful to be married to Henry, who accepted all presents as his due, who looked good in the clothes that she bought him, who was vain in an easy-going way about his good looks. Buying clothes for Henry was especially satisfying now, while she was pregnant and could not buy them for herself. She said, if you don't like it, then I will keep it. Look at you. Look at those sleeves. You look like the Emperor of Japan. They had already colonized the bedroom, making it full of things that belonged to them. There was Catherine's mirror on the wall, and their mahogany bardo, their first real piece of furniture, a wedding present from Catherine's great-aunt. There was their serviceable queen-sized bed with King Spanky lodged up inside it, and there was Henry spinning his arms in the white orange sleeves like an embroidered windmill. Henry could see all of these things in the mirror, and behind him, their Ron and Tilly and Carlton stapling glass into their notebook. He saw all of these things and he found them good. But he could not see Catherine. When he turned around, she stood in the doorway, frowning at him. She had the alarm clock in her hand. Look at you, she said again. It worried her. The way someone, Henry, could suddenly look like a place she had never been before. The alarm began to ring and King Spanky came out from under the bed. Trotting over to Catherine, she bent over, awkwardly. Ungraceful, she's so fucking awkward. Being pregnant was like bearing a fucking suitcase strapped across your middle. Put the alarm clock down on the ground and King Spanky hunkered down in front of it, his nose against the ringing glass face. And that made her laugh again. Henry loved Catherine's laugh. Downstairs, their children slammed a door open, ran through the house, carrying scissors. Both Catherine and Henry knew and slammed another door open, and were outside again, leaving behind the smell of glass. There was a store in New York where you could buy a perfume that smelled like that. Catherine and Carlton and Tilly came back from the grocery store with a tire, a rope to hang it from, and a box of pancake mix for dinner. Henry was online, looking at a JPEG of a rubber band ball. There was a message too. The crocodile needed him to come into the office. It would be just a few days. Someone was setting fires and there was no one smart enough to see how to put them out except for him. They were his accounts. He had to come in and save them. She knew Catherine and Henry's apartment had not sold. She had checked with their listing agent. So surely it would not be impossible. Not impossible, only inconvenient. He went downstairs to tell Catherine, that bitch, she said, and then bit her lip. She called the listing agent. I'm sorry. We talked about this. Never mind. Just give me a moment. Catherine inhaled. Exhaled. Inhaled. If she were Carlton, she would hold her breath until her face turned red, and Henry agreed to stay home. But then again, it never worked for Carlton. We went into our new neighbors in the grocery store. She is about the same age as me. Liz and Marcus. One kid older, a girl. I think her name was Allison. Maybe from a first marriage, potential babysitter, which is really good news. Liz is a lawyer, gorgeous, reads opera books. He likes to cook. So do I, Henry said. You are better cooking, better looking, Catherine said. So do you have to go back tonight or can you take the train in the morning? The morning is fine, Henry said. Wanting to seem agreeable, Carlton appeared in the kitchen, his arms pinned around King Spanky's middle. The cat's front legs stuck straight out, as if Carlton were dozing. King Spanky's eyes were closed, his whiskers twisted mossy coat. What are you wearing? Carlton said. My new uniform, Henry said. I wear it to work. Where do you work? Carlton said, testing. I work at home, Henry said. Catherine snorted. He looks like the king of rabbits, does not he? The potentiary of rabbitry, she said, no longer sounding particularly pleased about this. He looks like a princess, Carlton said, now pointing King Spanky at Henry like a gun. Where's your glass collection? Henry said, can I see it? No, Carlton said. He put King Spanky on the floor and the cat slunk out of the kitchen, heading for the stairs, the bedroom, the safety of the bed screens, the beloved alarm clock, the beloved. The beloved may be treacherous, greasy-headed, and given to evil habits, or as it can be a man in his late 40s who works too much, or it can be an alarm clock. After dinner, Henry said, trying again. We could go out and find a tree for your tire swing. No, Carlton. No, Carlton said regretfully. He lingered in the kitchen, hoping to be asked a question to which he could say yes. Where is your sister? Henry said. Watching television, Carlton said. I don't like the television here. It's too big, Henry said. But Catherine did not laugh. Henry dreams he is the king of the real estate agents. Henry loves his job. He tries to sell a house to a young couple with twitchy noses and big dark eyes. Why does he always dream that he is trying to sell things? The couple stare at him nervously. He leans toward them as if he is going to whisper something in their silly, expectant ears. It's a secret he has never told anyone before. It's a secret he did not even know that he knew. Let's stop fooling, he says. You can't afford to buy this house. You don't have any money. You are rabbits. Where do you work? Carlton said. In the morning, when Henry called from Grand Central. I work at home, Henry said. Home where we live now. Where you are. Eventually, just not today. Are you getting ready for school? Carlton put the phone down. Henry could hear him saying something to Catherine. He says he is not nervous about school, he said. He is a brave kid. I kissed you this morning, Henry said. But you did not wake up. There were all these rabbits on the lawn. They were huge, King Spanky sized. They were just sitting there like they were waiting for the sun to come up. It was funny, like some kind of art installation, but it was kind of creepy too. Think they had been there all night. Rabbits. Can they have rabies? I saw them this morning when I got up, Catherine said. Carlton did not want to brush his teeth this morning. He says something wrong with this toothbrush. Maybe he dropped it in the toilet and he does not want to tell you, Henry said. Maybe you could buy a new toothbrush and bring it home, Catherine said. He does not want one from the drug stores here. He wants one from New York. Where's Tilly? Henry said. She says she is trying to figure out what's wrong with Carlton's toothbrush. She is still in the bathroom, Catherine said. Can I talk to her for a second? Henry said. Tell her she needs to get dressed and eat her Cheerios, Catherine said. After I drive them to school, Liz is coming over for coffee. Then we are going to go out for lunch. I'm bringing another box until you get home. Here is Tilly. Hi, Tilly said. Hi, Tilly said. She sounded as if she were asking a question. Tilly never liked talking to people on the telephone. How were you? Supposed to know if they were really who they said they were, and even if they were who they claimed to be. They did not know whether you were who you said you were. You could be someone else. They might give away information about you and not even know it. There were no protocols, no precautions, she said. Did you brush your teeth this morning? Good morning, Tilly, her father. If it was her father, said. My toothbrush was fine, perfectly normal. That's good, Tilly said. I let Carlton use mine. That was very generous, Henry said. No problem, Tilly said. Sharing things with Carlton was not like having to share things with other people. It was not really like sharing things at all. Carlton belonged to her like the toothbrush. Mom says that when we get home today, we can draw on the walls in our rooms if we want to, while we decide what color we want to paint them. Sounds like fun, Henry said. Can I draw on them too? Maybe, Tilly said. She had already said too much. Gotta go. Gotta eat breakfast. Don't be worried about school, Henry said. I'm not worried about school, Tilly said. I love you, Henry said. I'm really concerned about this toothpaste, Tilly said. He closed his eyes only for a minute. Just for a minute when he woke up, it was dark and he did not know where he was. He stood up and bent over to the door, almost tripping over something. It sailed away from him in an exuberant, rollicking sweep. According to the clock on his desk, it was 4 a.m. Why was it always 4 a.m.? There were 4 messages on his cell phone, all from Catherine. He checked train schedules online. Then he sent Catherine a fast email. Fell asleep at midnight. Missed trains Awake now, going to keep on working, putting our fires, take the train home early afternoon. Still love me. Before he went back to work, he kicked the rubber band ball back down the hall toward the crocodile's door. Catherine called him at 8:45. I'm sorry, Henry said. I bet you were. Catherine said, I can't find my razor. I think the crocodile had some kind of tantrum and tossed my stuff. Catherine will love that. Catherine said, maybe you should sneak in the house and save before dinner. He had a hard day at school yesterday. Maybe I should grow a beard. Henry said, he can't be afraid of everything all the time. Tell me about the first day of school. We will talk about it later, Catherine said. Liz, just drop up. I am going to be her guest at the gym. Just make it home for dinner. At 6 a.m., Henry emailed Catherine again. Sorry, accidentally started a avalanche while putting out fires. Wait up for me. How was second day of school? She did not write him back. He called and no one picked up the phone. She did not call. He took the last train home. By the time it reached the station, he was the only one left in his car. He unchained his bicycle and rode it home in the dark. Rabbits pelted across the footpath in front of his bike. There were rabbits foraging on his lawn. They froze as he dismounted and pushed the bicycle across the grass. The lawn was rumpled. The bike bent up and down over invisible depressions that he supposed were rabbits' holes. There were two short, fat men standing in the dark on either side of the front door, waiting for him, but when he came closer, he remembered that they were stone rabbits. Knock, knock, he said. The real rabbits on the lawn tipped their ears at him. The stone rabbits waited for the punchline, but they were just stone rabbits. They had nothing better to do. The front door was not locked. He walked through the downstairs room, putting his hands on the back and tops of furniture. In the kitchen, cut-down boxes leaned in stacks against the wall, waiting to be recycled or remade into carved boards, houses and spaces, and tunnels for Carlton and tea. Catherine had unpacked Carlton's room. Night lights in the shape of bears and geese and cats were plugged into every floor outlet. There were little robot table lamps as well. Hippo, robot, gorilla, pirate ship. Everything was soaked in a tender, peaceful light, translating Carlton's room into something more than a bedroom, something luminous. Carlton's cartoony midnight church of sleep. Tilly was sleeping in the other bed. Tilly would never admit that she sleepwalked, the same way that she would never admit that she sometimes still wet the bed. But she refused to make friends. Making friends would have meant spending the night in strange houses. Tomorrow morning, she would insist that Henry or Catherine must have carried her from her room, put her to bed in Carlton's room for reasons of their own. Henry knelt down between the two beds and kissed Carlton on the forehead. He kissed Tilly, smoothed her hair. How could he not love Tilly better? He had known her longer. She was so brave, so angry. On the walls of Carlton's bedroom, Henry's children had drawn a house, a cat nearly as big as the house. There was a crown on the cat's head, trees or flowers with pairs of leaves that pointed straight up still bigger, and a stick figure on a stick bicycle, riding past the trees. When he looked closer, he thought that maybe the trees were actually rabbits. The wall smelled like fruit loops. Someone had written Henry is a rat hink. Ha ha ha. He recognized his wife's handwriting. Scented markers, Catherine said. She stood in the door, holding a pillow against her stomach. I was sleeping downstairs on the sofa. You walked right past and did not see me. The front door was unlocked, Henry said. Liz says nobody ever locks their doors out here, Catherine said. Are you coming to bed, or were you just stopping by to see how we were? I have to go back in tomorrow, Henry said. He pulled a toothbrush out of his pocket and showed it to her. There is a box of crispy, creamy donuts on the kitchen counter. Delete the donuts. Catherine said, I'm not that easy. She took a step towards him and accidentally kicked King Spanky. The cat yawned. Carlton woke up. He said, Who is there? Who is there? It's me, Henry said. He knelt beside Carlton's bed in the light of the beanie. The Pooh lamp. I brought you a new toothbrush. Carlton dimpled. What's wrong, spaceman? Henry said, It's just a toothbrush. He leaned toward Carlton and Carlton scooted back. He began to scream in the other bed. Tilly was dreaming about rabbits. When she had come home from school, she and Carlton had seen rabbits sitting on the lawn as if they had kept watch over the house all the time that Tilly had been gone. In her dream, they were still there. She dreamed she was creeping up on them. They opened their mouths wide enough to reach inside like she was some kind of rabbit dentist, and so she did. She put her hand around something small and cold and hard. Maybe it was a wing, a diamond wing, or it was a. She could not wait to show Carlton. Her arm was inside the rabbit all the way to her shoulder. Someone put their little cold hand around her wrist and yanked. Somewhere her mother was talking. She said, It's the beard. Catherine could not decide whether to laugh or cry or scream like Carlton. That would surprise Carlton if she started screaming too. Shoo, shoo, Henry, go shave and come back as quick as you can, or else he will never go back to sleep. Carlton, honey. She was saying as Henry left the room. It's your day, Dad. It's not Santa Claus. It's not the big bad wolf. It's your dad. Your dad just forgot. Why don't you tell me and go watch your daddy save? Catherine's hot water bottle was draped over the tub. Towels were heaped on the floor. Henry's things had been put away behind the mirror. It made him feel tired, thinking of all the other things that still had to be put away. He washed his hands, then looked at the bar of soap. It did not feel right. He put it back on the sink, bent over and sniffed it, and then tore off a piece of toilet paper. Used the toilet paper to pick up the soap. He threw it in the trash and unwrapped a new bar of soap. There was nothing wrong with the new soap. There was nothing wrong with the old soap either. He was just tired. He washed his hands and lathered up his face, shaved off his beard, and washed the little whistles of hair was down the sink. When he went to show Carlton his brand new face, Catherine was curled up in bed beside Carlton. They were both asleep. They were still asleep when he left the house at 5:30 the next morning. Where are you? Catherine said. I am on my way home. I am on the train. The train was still in the station. They would be leaving any minute. They had been leaving any minute for the last hour or so, and before that, they had to get off the train twice and then back on again. They had been assured there was nothing to worry about. There was no bomb threat. There was no bomb. The delay was only temporary. The people on the train looked at each other, trying to seem as if they were not looking. Everyone had their cell phones out. The rabbits are out on the lawn again. Catherine said, There must be at least 50 or 60. I have never counted rabbits before. Tilly keeps trying to go outside to make friends with them, but as soon as she is outside, they all go bouncing away like beach balls. I talked to a lawn specialist today. He says we need to do something about it, which is what Liz was saying. Rabbits can be a big problem out here. They have probably got tunnels and warrens all through the yard. It could be a problem, like living on top of a sinkhole. But Tilly is never going to forgive us. She knows something up. She says she does not want a dog anymore. It would scare away the rabbits. Do you think we should get a dog? So what do they do? Put out poison? Dig up the yard? Henry said. The man in the seat in front of him got up. He took his bags out of the luggage rack and left the train. Everyone watched him go, pretending they were not. He was telling me that they have these devices, kind of like ultrasound equipment. They plot out the tunnels, close them up, and then gas the rabbits. It sounds gruesome, Catherine said, and this kid, this baby, has been kicking the daylight out of him. All day long it's kick, kick, jump, kick, like some kind of martial arts. He is going to be an angry kid, handy, just like his sister, her sister. Or maybe I'm going to give birth to rabbits. As long as they have your eyes and my chin, Henry said. I have got to go, Catherine said. I have to pee again. All day long it's the kid jumping, me peeing, Tilly getting her heart broken down because she can't make friends with the rabbits, me worrying because she does not want to make friends with other kids, just with rabbits. Carlton asking if today he has to go to school, does he have to go to school tomorrow? Why am I making him go to school when everybody there is bigger than him? Why is my stomach so big and fat? Why does his teacher tell him to act like a big boy? Henry, why are we doing this again? Why am I pregnant? And where are you? Why are not you here? What about our deal? Don't you want to be here? I'm sorry, Henry said. I will talk to the crocodile. We will work something out. I thought you wanted this too. Henry, don't you? Of course, Henry said. Of course, I want this. I have gotta go, Catherine said again. Liz is bringing some woman over. We are finally starting that book club. We are going to read Fight Club. Her stepdaughter Alison to going to look after Tilly and Carter for me. I have already talked to Tilly. She promises she won't bite or hit or make Alison cry. What's the